Welcome to Canada's podcast.
Hello, this is Robert Smigel coming to today with Canada's podcast, where we talk to the entrepreneurs who are making it happen here in British Columbia. Today's guest is Susan Young, a senior mortgage broker raised in Vancouver most of her life. Susan is very passionate in working with people and developed a knack for helping clients understand the many financial risks and opportunities they face while providing a vast wealth of products through Canada's largest banks, credit unions, trust companies, and financial institutions. Well, Susan, welcome to Canada's podcast, and thanks for taking the time today to be here for all our listeners.
Thanks so much, Robert. I'm so excited about all the initiatives that's happening around the world, let alone to be able to share some of my insights and personal stories as well. I actually grew up in Vancouver. I'm a Vancouverite, yet my family, my parents have come from a little township, a 1-hour ferry north of Hong Kong, which is called Jungshan, very industrial area in the last 20 some years. I myself was born, I would say an export meaning that I'm not born in China or Asia. When I was growing up, everyone was asked, "Are you from Japan?" I go, "No." "Are you from Singapore, Hong Kong?" "No." And, so I'm actually born in Trinidad, West Indies. I'm a Trini, and I speak my first two languages is one of my Chinese dialect, which is called Jungshan. And it's not the most common dialect in the Chinese dialect, I've been told. And I speak mainly English, but to my parents and now to my mom only, I do speak my own dialect to her because she's more comfortable with that, even though she speaks a bit of broken English to her grandkids.
Okay.
So I'm basically my parents are considered, I believe how the train of generation is, they're considered the first generation. I'm considered second generation.
Okay. Cool.
My family's been in Canada for over 50 years. My parents have come to, their first stop was Trinidad because my grandfather had gone to Cuba and into Trinidad to set up a small business. So my family has always been very entrepreneurial themselves. So I guess I transit a lot of the attitude, trades, some of the learning things I transfer to my work today.
Okay, good. So you're a mortgage broker. What does that look like for you? And I think, obviously we've got a really hot Canadian real estate market now, and a lot of people are buying, selling, that kind of thing. But what I want you to do is I want you to give me a key piece of knowledge or information about your industry that our listeners can learn from, or they may want to know that they're unaware of regarding real estate, mortgage brokers, things like that.
I've been asked in the last couple of days. It's been a very hot market. And I was just even saying to some in the last while, I get all kinds of contact referrals because we got a very strong existing client base, repeat customers, referrals, recommendations. I get a lot of calls in from the realtors. "Oh, Susan, can I put the deal through today? Because my client is very nervous about the whole thing. We're subject to financing, so tell me a little bit more. How can I encourage the client?" I said, honestly, the client is in a very good position today, depending on what their situation is. Most really want to get into their homes, maybe their first home, maybe they're selling on second their existing home they've been in for over 10 years or 5 years or 3 years and they want to upgrade. It's still a very good market because after 4 months from now, my personal take on it would be that fact that we don't know no one knows what the outcome will be in terms of rate after December. But for me and many other mortgage brokers out there in Canada, Vancouver, Ontario, Alberta, maybe possibly in Quebec, are really driving in terms of December has been the hottest time and the most busiest time. I may even just take Christmas Day off and New Year's Eve afternoon, late evening, basically.
Yeah, it's busy.
So
Is it just supply and demand? Is that what's going on in Canada?
yes, I feel personally taken. I've seen it after talking to so many different clients and what I've seen. Yes, it's a bidding war, but to some others, some homes are not on a bidding war. So I get both feedbacks. So you
Okay.
cannot tell till you work carefully and with your realtor and with your mortgage broker.
Okay.
So I do specialize in the small business and self-employed and small business area, and that's why I loved came on to share my experience, personal take on it as well.
Yeah. So the key word of advice would be keep looking, get into the market. What would it be if you were to?
Yeah, the rates are really good in the next 4 months. We
Yeah.
don't know when winter comes and it's cold, and we really don't want to go out there, right? So it's the mentality, right? I myself may jog through the rain sometimes, or golf through the mud, right? But some people just don't want to go out there when it's cold,
Yes.
and things are getting better. We just got the first vaccination, right? So it's all your personal take and your lifestyle, and working closely with the experts in the field.
Okay, good. Let's talk a little bit about Vancouver, what that looks like for you. What are the biggest benefits for you in being an entrepreneur here in Vancouver, BC? I want you to give us some of the good points about starting a company here, but I also want you to give us some of the tough things or challenges for our listeners so they can keep an eye out for them.
Okay. Growing up from parents that are very entrepreneurial and started from scratch and borrowed money from their friends. And that was the mentality in the late 50s, 60s or so, because they don't speak English. They learned part-time at educational centers, someone to teach them. But even then, my father was just wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. He's out there with the wholesale companies, because he ran a mini supermarket, and he had everything you could possibly think, even the spices in bulk. So he was very, even those days, they were very into the organic type of business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those that are starting today, extremely competitive. I have just got off a phone with a longtime client of mine of 27 years. And I said, what's a good place to go to show so-and-so how I can, because it's not my expertise, right? I'm not a marketing company or to spend that kind of money. It really depends, really financial, environmentally, sustainable, sound marketing plan and communication plan is really going to be important. There's other resource centers that can really help the first time person getting into the type of business that they want to operate, especially when it's small business, extremely competitive. I get asked so-and-so for resources, contacts, you name it.
Are you saying competitive because there's a lot of mortgage brokers out there, there's a lot of real estate agents?
Yes,
It's just everything.
Any industry, even super berries. I got off phone with my client because she was one of the first one in the first one in the organic blueberry. And I want to say hi to her out there. and I said to her, I'm getting asked because I want to volunteer for a community garden, and I was asking for donated seeds and plants and whatnot. And someone came across and wanted to donate an Arona plant to me. And Aronia plant, I have no idea. It's a super plant, right? For example, and I'm saying to him, you need to network. You need to be very diverse in what you're doing. You need to have a game plan. If you don't have it written, you might not be promising yourself the next day. You're just going to be all over the place. You need to focus on exactly, because I keep repeating it to him on the phone, and he came all the way from Germany about in the 2012 sometime, and and it's just a growing business for us. So any entrepreneur out there, whether you're in the food business, whether you're in any type of small electronic device or something, it doesn't really matter. Like it's like whatever business you're in, you obviously have to focus, start somewhere, but that marketing plan has to be in place and a communication plan. And you may need a mentor, you may need a coach, but you've got to find those resources. And obviously, and you may have to speak to a lot of people within your industry circle. It's huge, because if you're not going to go out there to network and speak to others, you may fall into a thing that you can't get yourself out of. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so I always tell the builders, the people that want to build tear down their homes or something, seriously, you need a project manager. You have no idea how to build that house. You're not hands-on. You have no experience whatsoever. We
Yeah.
wouldn't even touch it unless you had some professional in that industry to help you along the way.
So access your professionals and use that to your advantage.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's talk about your routine. What does the first hour look like for you when you get up in the morning? Do you have a specific routine or ritual that helps you get motivated to start your day? I imagine your days are pretty long, but what
Yeah.
are some of the things that you do to stay healthy so you can kind of keep that momentum going?
I came from a background where I do play a bit of tennis, and I've been doing it for pretty much all my life, let alone learn something new, because I've been injured before. Because I've been injured before, I've learned to get a cheap Pilates machine reformer, and I have that that's collapsible in my area, that a space that I have in my little office space. So I would actually go jogging, jog around the neighborhood for say 20 minutes, and I come back and use the machine to do the stretches. Some people say you do the stretches first and then go jogging. So it really depends how you feel that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think entrepreneurs have to be weird or unique in a positive way, or wired differently? Look at life differently?
Everyone's wired differently. And I meet everyone, all walks of life. You have to have that positive motivation to tell your story, to share with others. The more you share, I think in terms of when you're speaking to someone about your who you are and what you do, the more you give back, the more valuable you become, because people will know that they can really trust you, because they're gonna get to know you a little bit more. You're so and you're be able to see the bigger picture, because if you can't see the bigger picture and you're just set in one mind, okay, I'm going to just go out there and set up a business and that's all I need. You need a lot of hand holding in the beginning, but if you're great at, say, a certain trade and you're specialized, then there's a bit of fact that you're more knowledgeable in what you do. I've seen others that start off, say, the example, the blueberry. No one knew anything too much about blueberries, for example. Went back, say, organics in BC, or let alone in Canada. Who knew about organics going to be a big thing in this world, right? And
Yeah,
and
it's really
and
changed.
this was probably in the early 90s that I knew about the blueberry organic, and this came to me by talking to someone, right?
Yeah. Well, I think anything health related now, people realize that, especially entrepreneurs, I think have to stay very healthy, exercise, eating right, because the longer you stay in the game, the better chances you are that you're
That's
going to
right.
succeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things that come up frequently. Let's talk about some other things going on in your life. If you weren't doing what you do now, what would you like to do for a profession?
Good question. I come with a background, first of all, always been able, even as a child, um, in helping others, is because I always try to find an activity to not just my work. So um, I would say ideally, if you, I guess, I originally wanted to go into nonprofits because my background was accounting, nonprofit certification, my educational background. Marketing was a big piece for me, and fundraising. So I'm very passionate in what I do, but it's been transferable to other things. I would love to one day maybe open open up my own nonprofit organization, or carry on my grant writing. So, but because I love what I do right now, I transitioning is something, um, I think I would, like, it took me a while to do the golfing thing, to join a ladies league, for example. I don't think it's my time to transit into this, because I've been able to give back to the community already in a bigger way this time, because I found something else that would help my sister, for example, because she's in poor health. So I got into the community garden within my community, and I met some extremely nice people along the way in the last couple of days. So I basically happened to go visit two different gardens to see what that really is, because I have no idea about community gardens. Understand gardening, vegetables and fruits, because that's something that I grew up with. So I'm passionate about a lot of things. So if you're passionate about something, you're going to do good for yourself and for others. And so anyone that starts in a new business, if you're passionate about whatever that type of product or service you're doing, you're going to do good for yourself and others. So yeah, so I would say I continue to a time when I can give back to the community. It's something along that lines.
Okay. What kind of job could you not do? Could not do this job?
That's a good question. I think in terms of when it comes to technology, I'm scared. I literally had to be handheld on a one-on-one to be coach, even for the mortgage platform application because we can do, in my industry, I've worked for 4 or 5 different banks in over 30 years, because I came about it because I needed a part-time job originally, but I have gone the only and I've gone to different areas of the banking now, doing more commercial, some commercial and mainly residential. But I'm good at both. It's because I have an accounting background. So I would say would be something to do with technical, because I'm not knowledgeable enough per se, and I'm always quite interested in that area.
Okay. In business, what is your favorite word, quote, or sentence that you like to use? What do you say frequently to people, clients, staff?
I'm really a one-stop shopping solution to try to cater to everything that you probably would like to be on your wish list.
Okay.
So yeah, so it
What's your
really all depends.
What's your least favorite word or sentence you don't like to hear in business?
The negativity would be the word never. I would always be able to find you a solution.
Okay, that's a good one. Never give up. Find it.
Yes,
Make it happen.
exactly.
Well,
Yes,
well, I always like to say we'll find a way. Somehow we'll find a
that's
way.
right.
If
Exactly.
you had to pick 1 or 2 words to describe yourself, what would it be and why?
Diversity comes to mind, resilience comes to mind, because this is also a highlight the month of May. And I've been involved community-wise and volunteer heavily with an organization that celebrates the month of May as Asian Heritage Month. And we live in a beautiful country. Canada is so diverse, yet there's so much lots to learn and to grow from that. I feel that we are very diverse in terms of ethnicity, languages, culture, arts, you name it. I used to do more in the diversity arena. Yet I feel that today, where if I go to the community garden, I'm pretty diverse in learning new things, whether it's meeting people or networking or educating myself into types of maybe health, gardening, knowledge more about the food industry or whatever it is.
Yeah. I
So
find travel is what I've learned over the years is that I travel frequently
yeah,
and for work and stuff and work in many different countries. And when I come back to Canada, because Canada is all about diversity, I can
yeah,
actually engage into a conversation, say, yeah, I've been there. I understand your
that's
culture.
right.
I may not understand the language, but it is in essence, it's given me a dictionary of when I come home. I could be gone for 2-3 years and I come home and I've got this encyclopedia sitting in my head I can walk in SkyTrain or I can be somewhere, ride my bike along Falls Creek and bump into someone. If they say I'm from Italy or I'm from I was just there and I was, I know something about that background. I can have a more in-depth conversation with that person other than, gee, I've never been there. I don't understand that. So that's why I feel that travel is in itself an encyclopedia. And you
Exactly.
bring that home to you. Not a lot of countries aren't like that. Like if you go to a country, say, in India, people are from there, whereas, I'm in Costa Rica, people are from Costa Rica or Latin America. And
Yeah.
so I explained to them that we could sit in a restaurant and I could go walk to each and every area and they're from a different country. And
I
they're like,
had the same
wow,
experience the other day.
to them that's weird, that's strange, because I said,
Yeah.
yeah, I grew up with that. My dad's best friend was Chinese, and I grew up with a Asian family. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
uh, even though we're Polish or Ukrainian,
Yes.
whatever our background is, it really is the melting pot. But I think being out there, like you said, being able to cross-reference and being able to identify with that person, have an open mind and learn from them, I think it'll help you in the long run,
That's
in any
that's
business. Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Because I come from such a diverse background, and my family on my dad's side are interracial marriages and stuff.
Yeah.
Gives me a huge perspective. So when I go down to Trinidad or to Miami now, they're considered a second home, and my relatives, we although we're not speaking Spanish or any form of Chinese dialect or something. Yes, we
Mhm.
are communicating in English, but at the same time, although we have so many diverse backgrounds, we have a very commonality, as you would
Yeah.
say. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, you're
Okay.
so right about the travel aspect, because I do travel to Asia and to the States, uh, and to Europe, and there and you see the the experience is as if you're able as a small entrepreneur and be able to take your business and go somewhere else to learn from another person within your own industry, I think is a huge thing.
Yes. Yeah. And and also to understand their thinking and culture, religion, whatever that is. So I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
one of the things that is really critical. Okay. Do you have any advice that you may have received as an entrepreneur that you can pass on to other entrepreneurs throughout Canada? Something that you've learned along the way, someone said something to you or um, um, along the way that you could say, you know what, this key little piece of advice really, really helped me. And I think others should know about this. Anything like that?
The secret I feel to this wealth is really simply connecting with people and entrusting yourself, really believing that you're able to succeed from just starting out in your business and growing from there. The networking is going to be a huge piece of whether you're joint venture with someone, whether you're just doing it on a very beginnings, like my parents did in the very beginnings, start from scratch. They're actually borrowing money from friends, because those days they don't have a history of walking into a financial institution and being able to uh, to get any lending whatsoever. But these days, a
Yeah.
little hugely different. We're talking about 50 years later. We have things that are so much more resources than we ever had. So my thing would be that you've got to make sure you have someone that is able to support you mentally or physically, meaning that if there is someone out there that can be a friend or associate to help you along the way, your business is a huge piece of your business, because mentally it's long hours. Even for
Yeah,
myself, when I was going into, even though I've been a banker for over 25 years, to come in as a mortgage broker license, I better know what I'm doing.
sure.
So I
Absolutely.
better know exactly, because no one's going to be out there to help me. So it was kind of nice, my transition, because I had all the mortgage background already with a few other financial institutions, right? So yeah, it's networking is huge.
That's the
And
big one. Yeah.
you've gotta like it, right? You've got to
Yeah.
know that, yeah, you're
Yeah.
there enough for the short term. I don't want you to flip in your business within 6 months, right? It's a plan that
Yeah.
you have to have in paper and mindset.
That's funny, because a lot of the entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, that's one of the things they say. If they were to do it all over again, they say, I would network more. I would get out there more, because I think they get focused on what they're doing, and they're very good at what they're doing. But there's a whole
Yeah,
world out there of people that they could connect with and
that's right.
help them quicker, faster,
That's right.
and more impact. Okay, let's wrap things up. How can our listeners get hold of you? And is there anything you'd like to add before you leave us today?
I would be able to connect on LinkedIn. It's Susan O. Young, as SAU middle hyphen young as an age. Or you can call me at 604-551-8148. That's pretty much the biggest number, 604-551-8148. And I feel that very fortunate to be able to here to sit with you to talk a little bit about what's it really like as a self-employed business owner as well.
Yeah.
And again, if there's any way I can say, is take that opportunity, don't look back, just focus on what you're doing, and really it's a lot of hard work, but it's going to be very worth it in the long run. You've got to be really passionate about it.
Okay, Susan, thanks for coming on the show. I've learned a lot about you, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. And to all our listeners, thanks for listening to Canada's podcast today. Like, comment, and subscribe to all our channels to get the latest podcasts from entrepreneurs across Canada, like Susan. And we'll see you next time.